One of Eugene Teblanche's murder accused, Chris Mahlangu's overalls were splattered with blood when he confessed to murdering the right-wing leader. And music star Jub Marunyani's lawyer has criticized the state's accident reconstruction expert. I'm Richard Brooks. One of Eugene Teblanche's murder accused, Chris Mahlangu's overalls were splattered with blood when he confessed to murdering the right-wing leader. That's according to farm labourer Richard Silani, who is testifying in the Circuit High Court in Ventersdorp. Teblanche was found bludgeoned to death on his farm over the Easter weekend last year. Mahlangu and a teenaged co-accused worked for Teblanche and are on trial for his murder. Both pleaded not guilty at the start of the trial. Candice Klein has the details.
Richard Silani worked on a neighbouring farm. He says Mahlangu and the teenager came to borrow his phone late that Saturday afternoon. He didn't take much notice of the teenager, but recalls blood splatter on the front of Mahlangu's overalls. He says Mahlangu told him that they had stabbed Teblanche and that the teenager made calls on the cell phone. Silani's testimony is somewhat corroborated by cell phone records reflecting 3 calls from his number to the SAPS emergency line. Mahlangu refuted the confession, saying he told Silani that Teblanche and himself were involved in a physical fight. Candice Klein, SABC News, Ventersdorp.
Music star Jub Marunyani's lawyer has criticized the state's accident reconstruction expert Rainier Bolt, saying he cannot call himself an expert. Ike Motlaung launched the attack on Bolt's testimony after he failed to distinguish certain marks on a photograph from the accident scene. Bolt yesterday told the Protea Magistrates Court that Jub and his co-accused Temba Chabalala were travelling at over 100 kilometers per hour in a 60-kilometer zone. Pearl Magubane reports.
Failure to distinguish between tire friction marks and other marks that could have been on Dlaloso Street prior to the accident has discredited the accident reconstruction expert Rainier Bolt as one in Ike Motlaung's eyes. Motlaung, who represents musician Jub, says if Bolt cannot explain what all the marks on the picture are, then he should not be labelled an expert in this trial. In Bolt's defense, he says his qualifications and years of experience entitle him to be called an expert. The cross-examination continues. Pearl Makubane, SABC News, Protea Magistrates Court.
Africa is facing a crisis due to a lack of health workers on the continent. Despite having 25% of the global burden of disease, Africa only has 1.3% of the total global health workforce. It translates to 0.8 health workers for every 1,000 people. The third WHO Regional Consultation Conference held in Pretoria is aimed at finding solutions to this problem. Health Minister Aaron Motsoaledi says training and long-term planning is some of the solutions to the problem. He's urged conference delegates to find solutions.
I actually implore you to come up with innovations which maybe you might not have thought about. Don't sit here and say my continent or countries are very poor. This they can't do, they can only achieve this. Put them down and try us. And say, ministers, we have said here, we think this plan can help the continent.
Catch the latest news anytime here on Newsbreak Option 1.